Today we're going to draw on just a regular sheet of paper, and I'm going to go ahead and get your supplies together and you can follow along with me. So I have my underdrawing pencil with red lead. You can draw with something else if you'd like. It's up to you. You know, you could use a red colored pencil, blue colored pencil, you know, something with a little bit of color. I have two different sizes of mechanical pencils because we're going to work in graphite today. And I have my handy click eraser. Let's get started. Today's lesson, we're going to learn about how to use circles. They don't have to be perfect circles. As you can see, that's not a perfect circle. But with circles, you can use them to draw all kinds of things. You can use them, I mean, you need circles for eyeballs, you need circles to draw, you know, soccer balls, or all kinds of things. But today, we're going to learn how to draw a burrowing owl, which is a very unique animal. So, a little bit about the burrowing owl is that, let's use this pencil. They live actually underground. They'll find like maybe a little hillside like this, you know, and they live out in the desert, so maybe there's a prickly pear cactus, but they will dig a burrow underground, and it could have one chamber or even multiple chambers, but the burrow will go underground, and that's where this little owl will hang out. They actually have fairly long little skinny legs here. And they make their nest down there. And sometimes if they have a second burrow of, say, maybe one that they don't want to use anymore, and they expand, other animals will often move in to the burrowing owls, like small desert tortoises will move in as neighbors. To the burrowing owl. And so they do this to hide, keep away from predators, keep their babies safe, things like that. So they're kind of unique among owls in that they live underground. I think, well, as far as I know, they're the only owl that lives on the ground. Every other owl will make its nest up in the trees. And so these guys, like all owls, have big eyes. So to draw one, let's take our pencil, our red pencil, and I'm going to draw, I'll make this one kind of big. I'll draw a circle. And this is going to be its head. Now, this will be the top of its head, and then we need to draw its body. So since we're going to draw this owl looking straight at us, I'm going to split the head halfway. Then we need to draw its body. The body is a little bit more oval shaped because, like all birds, they have big breast muscles that they use, very strong chest muscles and stuff that they use for flying. And so they have kind of a poofy chest here. It's kind of oval shaped, and then their wings are kind of oval shaped as well. So I'm using these shapes, these loose shapes like this, to help build up the overall shape of my owl. In this stage of drawing, it can be really loose. So Their wings come down here like this, and they have these long legs that they use for scratching and running. And they will fly, but they do run a lot. And then we have their feet down here. We'll foreshorten that one, and we'll splay this one out here. Foot will look like this. Let's do this one so you can see it. So I have its leg here. Legs like a cylinder, you know, like a wood dowel. And I have one toe and back that comes this way. And then it has another toe here, and another toe that comes out this way. They don't have any webbing because they don't swim. And at the end of each foot is a little claw. Now, burrowing owls have little claws that helps them digging and to catch their prey. But and these claws are called talons. Now, a bigger owl, like say a great horned owl, they have a big knuckle, and then their toe comes out like this, and we'll learn how to draw them another day. They have great big talons, because they need to catch stuff as they fly, like that. Remember, these are just my layout lines, so these can be very loose, very quick. Get a little closer so you can see. See? All right. Now, the whole circle isn't going to be just part of the owl head, because it's actually, we just needed that to give us the shape for the top of the owl's head. And so here it comes down, here's its neck and its back. Draw a line. I always like to put a line where I'm going to put the eyeballs so that way they're lined up. Now this is where more circles come into play, because owls have, the burrowing owl, like his cousins, has real big eyes for his head. And we're going to make, they're about an eye length apart, so what I'm doing is I'm measuring. So say I'm going to take from this line to where my thumb is. See how long I made, that's how big I made the eye. And move that over, and that is where I'll start the other eye. And then I can measure again, and that is where I know how to place the second eye so that they are evenly placed. Okay, so now I have two circles. So far we've used 3 circles today to make the eye. And we make a smaller circle on the inside for the pupil. And these big eyes that owls have is why owls have kind of gotten the reputation of being wise. They have these big eyes that just sort of stare at you. We have some at our zoo here in town. They have a burrowing owl exhibit, and they have about 4 of them. And they're really fun to watch because these are native to Utah. All right, so now following our middle line here, we're going to draw in his or her beak. And this is sort of a triangle diamond shape because we're looking straight at it. And there's a little hook, and we want to make this even. So another horizontal line. Okay, so now get a little bit more detail. And the other thing why I wanted to draw a burrowing owl today is that they have this white patch of fur, or not fur, this white patch of feathers that overlaps the top of their eyelid, or their eyeballs, and it gives them this like grumpy look. trace top of the eye. And beaks are kind of dark. He's looking over his shoulder at us. And his little spots. That's one way you can tell that it's a burrowing owl. They have little spots. Okay, so now we have sort of the basics of the owl head shape. Now they also have a lot of feathers that give them a boxy look on their face. That's bothering me. There we go. Using circles and ovals, we're able to build up the shapes of this burrowing owl. Now let's take our regular pencil and we're going to darken in the lines and start giving it some detail. So I like, when I'm drawing, I hold my pencil in two ways. I'll hold it this way when I want to do detail work, because you can hold it real firm and your hand doesn't slip very much, and so you can do little tiny marks and details and line work. And then if I'm going to shade, like say this ball or the feathers on the owl, I'll hold it near, about this far back, and then that way I can shade with my pencil. So I bounce between the two ways of holding my pencil. Okay, so let's start shading this owl. So the edges of his beak are going to be darker. And then as his beak comes forward, it becomes lighter. So you have a highlight on his beak. And then that's where you can take your eraser and erase, put a highlight on there. So say I'm holding it back here like this and my pencil is almost parallel with the table. So that way I can use the edge of my lead to shade. The wonderful thing about pencils are they're erasable. So what that means is once we get the shading in on our owl, we can erase out bits for the highlights, things like that. Alright, let's give a little bit of an outline here so we know the edge. Of the owl's head. Another thing with pencils that's very important is to remember that it's much like drawing with a pen, is that the direction that you make your strokes help give form and shape to what you're drawing. Okay, here's a little brow, grumpy brow. And And I'm going to do something with my eraser here in just a bit. Make sure that that doesn't, I don't lose the brow. So I'm going to make the edges of the beak a little darker. Because depending on, as you play with the values of your drawing, so like this is pure white right here is a high value, and our light value, and then this dark line is a dark value. So light value would be white or light gray, and the dark value would be dark gray to black. I'm gonna make his pupils pure black. Try and keep those as circles. And in the wild, they have, this is a real owl, his little eyeballs would be yellow. I'm gonna put some feather marks, some more feather marks. As you're drawing, if you need to, feel free to turn your page. That helps you get correct stroke. It's one cool advantage of drawing in real life versus like on the computer, is sometimes it's hard to rotate your drawing surface if you're on using like Photoshop or something like that. Although I will say drawing on the iPad is pretty fun, because using some of the apps you can just turn it just like you would in real life. Okay. I'll put some other little feather marks under his eyes. Yeah, they're very intense looking owls. So now what I'm gonna do is take my eraser, because these are white feathers, I can erase out my pencil marks, because I didn't make them too dark. That's the other thing with pencils, you gotta start, you don't want to be real heavy-handed with it, you gotta have a real light touch. Little jagged looking ones to help show that these are feathers. And then I'll erase this side. There's a lot of different kinds of erasers that you can use, and so today I'm using a click eraser. And you can also use your eraser to bring out the spots. And we can use the pencil highlight where those spots are. Make it a little darker on the edges. And that way, we could shade in the top of the owl's head without trying to draw the circles in first and then try and draw around it, because then we'd be sitting here going shade, 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 real small. No, it's easier to come back in and just erase out those spots how you want, where you want them. Now you can see them. That's a little trick to make things go a little faster. I'm gonna put a little shading under here, a little shading under here. Got some neck creases. Then the belly of the owl is mostly white, just a few brown patches. So I'm gonna again hold it to the side like this and draw in some quick brown spots. And these actually get smaller as they go further down the belly. Alright, and now I'm going to do the same thing I did with the head. The owl. I'm trying to keep the strokes that I'm making. You know, this is a stroke. To follow the shape of the owl. And the reason I like holding my pencil like this is I can keep my hand here and make a big line like that, whereas if I was holding it here, I'd have to move my whole hand. But here I can just do it with my finger. See, just swinging my thumb and my finger. And just go like that. And so we're gonna make, because the light's coming this way, so Mr. Sun is up above, so this will be darker on the bottom side. Of the wing. And this is where then you can switch to holding it like this and put in more of your details, where you start defining out the different feathers and filling in some darker areas like the creases on this owl's neck. And around his face. Also, another fact about these owls that are different than a lot of other owls is you will see them out during the day. They're not completely nocturnal. And if you didn't know, nocturnal means that they are awake during the night and sleep during the day. Just adding a little shading on the eyes, just make them look cool. Okay, so I'm switching to shading mode again, making this a little bit darker, and I'm going to define out some of the flight feathers. Little tiny marks here to show that they're real fluffy feathers around the legs. And then the legs are practically naked. They don't really have any feathers on them. They're kind of scaly, like a chicken leg. If you've ever looked at a chicken leg real close, they have just like little bits of fur. Sort of like maybe imagine how, you know, your dad's leg kind of is hairy. That's what burrowing owl's legs look like. The hairy dad's leg. Yeah, that's a good description. Since it's been winter, maybe you haven't seen your dad's legs in a while, but I'm pretty sure they're hairy. Alright, and then here's one foot with a talon. Again, we can put a little circle here to show its knuckle. scales on the top. And then this toe's pointing right at us, so we'll draw another circle here. And so we won't see the whole toe, we'll just see the talon on the tip of the toe and a little bit of the rest of the toe. And then this toe comes out over here, draw another circle to show where the knuckle is and its talon. And little scales, and then the back leg, talon there, and a toe. Okay, and then make these just a little bit darker. And then we're going to do some light shading on the belly, because remember, our light is coming this way, and so the shadows, so everything, imagine it like, you know, kind of like how rain works, you know, it hits here, you know, and wherever the light hits, that's going to be the lightest spot on our drawing, and everywhere on the bottom side where the light's not hitting, down here, it's going to be darker. So I'm going to take our pencil like this, and this is where you got to be real soft, barely touch the paper, just give it a little touch of your pencil. Touch, 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 soft, soft, soft. Just a little bit of shading. And then, because we put shading there, we can make our wing just a little bit darker. Give it more contrast. And they have real short tails, so this area back here is actually where its tail is. And they have real short ones. Okay, there's a little bit there, and then we're going to add in the dots on the back of the owl. Dots on the tips. I guess they're not really dots. On an animal, they're called spots. And put another couple of spots going down this wing and that wing and here. Back with my pencil and just draw around the edges of the spots so that way we can see them a little bit more. Okay, there we go. And that is how to draw a burrowing owl. So again, remember, we started off with a circle, and then we had some ovals. So, circle, and ovals, and cylinders, all these together equal an owl. Pretty exciting, huh? Okay, so I would love to see your drawings of an owl. And the great thing is we can also make this cartoony by using our circles. You know, I can do a triangle. If we want, we can make them real big. Overlap a second. No, I don't like that. Let's get rid of that. I don't like that shape. That doesn't work for me. Again, this is why we don't draw it too hard. This is what you need. Like real simple with this. I'm drawing things for my son to the color. I want to go real quick. I'll draw stuff like this because I know he doesn't really care what it looks like. He just likes to draw stuff, color, and paint it. He's pretty artistic for a 2-year-old. Almost 2-year-old. The cool things you can use this circle for. Alright, there we go. Thank you for tuning in, and stick around. Check back on my channel in a little while, because this week's printable, I'm going to make a mask that you can cut out and color and wear so you can have an owl mask. That will be fun and exciting. So again, all you need is a sheet of paper, a couple of pencils, and an eraser. All right, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.